When you have a fraction as an exponent, you can rewrite it as a root. You're just going to start with the top number. That's going to be the power. So it's going to be y to the power of 3, and that's what we want to look for in the answers. So it could be b, y to the power of 3, or it could be c. Both of those are correct. But then the bottom number, 4 down there, that's actually going to be the root. And we have a fourth root, so that's the little number in front. As you can see, b, that has that correct. The fourth root of y to the 3. So this is the exact same thing that we started with. It's got the power of 3 on the inside. It's got the root on the outside. So that's the correct way to rewrite this exponential here. Okay, let's do the same thing but in reverse now. So which of these is the same as what we're given here? Well, it starts off with m squared, and the power is always going to stay the same, so let's go ahead and copy that down. But when you move to the root, the little number, again, that's going to go in the bottom. So let's make a fraction and put 5 down there. So the root goes in the bottom, the power up top, and a, that has the correct one. So not bad at all once you know that the power is going to be the thing up top, and the root is going to be the number in the bottom there. Okay, but when would you ever use these things? Let's see. Now these would be in the no calculator section, so we need to be able to rewrite this thing using the rules we just looked at. Okay, it's 9 to the power 1/2. Well, we know that the power right now is 1, the top number, so it's going to be 9 to the power 1. Let's remember that. Okay, but then 2, that's going to be the root or the little number in front. So this is the same way to rewrite this guy here. Now, when you have 9 to the power 1, anything to the power 1 is just itself, so that's just going to stay a 9 inside there. And then a 2 out front is the exact same thing as a square root. You just normally don't write it. So really, we have square root of 9. It's the same thing as 9 to the power 1/2. Okay, how do we simplify? But let's go ahead and find what is the square root of 9. That's asking what number times the same number will give us 9. And it's going to be 3. 3 times 3 gives us 9. So square root of 9 is 3. Therefore, that's actually the final answer here. So the main takeaway, when you have a power of 1/2, it's the exact same thing as the square root of the big number in front there. Okay, let's do a similar type here. This time we have 8 to the 1/3. To start, we've got 8 to the power 1, so we'll keep those together. But then divided by 3, that 3 is the root right there. So another way to rewrite it is like this. The cube root of 8 to the 1. But once again, anything to the power 1 is just itself. So 8 to the 1 is 8. Therefore, we're just really finding the cube root of 8. Now this is wondering what number multiplied 3 times will give us 8. And it's actually going to be 2, because 2 times 2 will give us 4, and then 4 times 2 will give us 8. So the cubed root of 8 is 2, and that's the simplified answer for this one. So this time when you have a 1/3, that's going to become a cube root, and then you can multiply a number 3 times to get to that big guy to find the cube root. Next, we're going to look at some exponent rules. Let's check it out. Now, how would you simplify 8 to a power times 8 to another power? Well, we're going to simplify this and make these fractions into whole numbers. So let's look at this problem to start. By making a simpler version of this problem, we could try to find a shortcut. So let's see. We've got 8 to the 3rd times 8 squared. Now when you have 8 to the 3rd, that's just 3/8 multiplied. And then times 8 with a little 2 means it's 2/8 multiplied. So really, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8 multiplied. You could rewrite that as 8 to the power 5. The question is, how did we go from the first step to the last step? What did we do with the powers? Well, you could just add them, right? Because if you add 3 plus 2, you get straight to the answer of 8 to the 5th there. So that's exactly what we're going to do for this problem. They have the same big number, they're multiplied, we're going to add the powers together. Let's go ahead and do it. So rewriting this one, we're just going to have one big 8 and then add both of the exponents up top here. So 2/5 plus 1/5. Let's keep going. Let's add those. But when you add fractions, you're just going to add the top numbers. 2 plus 1, 3. Keep the bottom number a 5. So it becomes 8 to the 3/5. So that's it. 8 to the power 3/5. Go ahead and add the exponents when you multiply like this guy here. Okie doke, let's try another one. Now what if you have a negative exponent? Well, it's still going to be the same rule. We're still going to go ahead and add them together. So we've got 3/5 the first power plus negative 2/5 the second power. But when you have 3 plus negative 2, it's the same thing as 3 minus 2. So we get 1. Therefore, that's the power 1/5 up top. 32 to the 1/5, final answer there. Okay, let's look at another exponent rule here. What if they're stacked on top of each other? Well, just like before, let's create a simpler version of this one. We'll go ahead and write this out. Let's pretend we have 4 to the 5th, then a fraction, and 4 squared in the bottom. How do we simplify? Well, up top, 4 to the power 5. That just means you're multiplying 4 5 times there. And then to the power 2, we've got 2 4s there. Next, if you've got the same thing divided by the same thing, you can actually cancel or divide those out. And we could do it one more time. So therefore, 1, 2, 3, we've got 4 multiplied 3 times. And that's the same thing as 4 to the power 3. So how did we get there? Well, this time we subtracted the powers. We did 5 minus 2, and that gave us a power of 3. That's the shortcut. So that's what we're going to do for this guy here. We'll make one big 4 and then subtract both powers. Top power goes first, bottom power goes second. Okay, just like adding, you're just going to do the top numbers, 5 minus 1. That's going to give us 4 up top, and then keep the bottom number the same. But this time, we can simplify because the fraction 4 over 2, that's saying 4 divided by 2, and that becomes 2. So we could rewrite this guy as 4 to the power 2 or 4 squared. Okay, finally, this is the same thing as 4 times 4. So final answer, we get 16. Even though it didn't look like it was going to turn into that, we knew what the rule was, subtract when they're divided. And then we could simplify from there. The power here just became a 2, and then expanded it back out again. So a lot of little things going on, but once you know the rules, then these become very manageable. Okay, let's try another one. Once again, these are stacked. We're going to go ahead and subtract the powers. Top power minus the bottom. So we have 5/6 minus 2/6. They've got the same bottom number. We'll subtract the tops. 5 minus 2. That'll give us 3 up top and 6 in the bottom. Now, once again, we could go ahead and keep going here because 3 over 6, that's the same thing as 1/2. 3 goes into itself 1 time. 3 goes into 6 2 times. So 49 to the power 1/2 is the same thing. Now, this is going to be familiar because, wait a minute, anything to the power 1/2 is actually a square root. So this is the same thing as square root of 49. And then this is saying what times what gives us 49? That's got to be 7 there. So once again, it's surprising how these guys can simplify, but that's the total simplified answer for this one. This is the last exponent rule. What happens when you have a number to a power and then it's raised to another power? Let's see. Let's look at this example. We've got 9 to the power 3, but that's all to the power 2. So what do? Well, the big power 2 tells us to write this twice and go ahead and multiply. So it's going to be 9 to the 3 multiplied by 9 to the 3, or just written twice together there. Well, how many 9s do we have multiplied here? Well, we've got 3 9s and 3 9s for a total of 6 9s here. So what was the shortcut? When you've got a power to a higher power, just multiply those together, and that'll get you to the final answer the fastest. So using this trick, got 25 to the 1/2, all to the power of 3. Let's rewrite it as 25 to the 1/2, then times 3 here. But multiplying fractions, you want to make both numbers a fraction, so 3 is the same thing as 3 divided by 1. The reason that helps is you could just multiply straight across. So we're going to get this. 1 times 3, 3. 2 times 1, 2 in the bottom. 25 to the 3/2, final answer. Same thing as B. Okay, once again, we've got a power to a power. We're going to go ahead and multiply. Let's rewrite it here. We've got 1/3 times 3/4. But from here, just go ahead and multiply straight across since they're both fractions already. That'll give us 3 over 12. But this can simplify because 3 goes into itself 1 time, 3 goes into 12 4 times. In other words, 1/4 is the new power. 16 to the 1/4, same thing as C. So we're all done with that one now. If you need to pause for a beverage break, go ahead and do so. But let's keep plowing ahead here. Now this is going to be interesting, but when you have a number to a fraction, you can rewrite it down to just one number here. It's the exact same thing we've been doing, but this time let's look at the bottom number first. When we have a 2 in the bottom, let's go ahead and remind ourselves what that was. 2 in the bottom became a root of 2 or a square root. So we can use this to our advantage. Anytime you have a 2 in the bottom, go ahead and take the square root of that number first. Let's go ahead and do square root of 25. 5 times 5, that'll give us 25, so the square root is 5. Finally, then we can go back to the other number, it's the power 3, and we'll put that as the regular power. So 5 to the 3, that's the same as 5 times 5 times 5. What'll this become? Well, 5 times 5, that'll be 25 or a quarter, and we've got 5 quarters. That's $1.25 or 125 cents. So surprisingly, B, this is the same thing as this one here. We took the square root of the number first, we got it down to nice easy 5. Then we applied the power or the top number of the fraction. So doing that, that's a good way to be able to simplify when you have a number to a fractional power there. Okay, what about this one? Same thing, right? We've got 8. Let's go ahead and do the 3 in the bottom. Reminding ourselves again, that's going to be the root, or it's going to become a cube root when you've got a 3 in the bottom. Okay, let's do it. That'll give us the cube root of 8. And we did that before, but 2 times 2 times 2 gives us 8, so that's the cube root. But then finally, we've got the top number is 2, that's the power, so we'll go ahead and apply that now. 2 squared, that'll give us 4. Final answer is 4 here. So as you can see, by doing the bottom number first, you could either square root or cube root something, get it down to an easy number. Then you can apply the top part or the additional power there. Start to feel like a mad scientist after a while. Okay, last ones here. When you have a power that's negative, just pretend that it's positive. So 36 to the negative 1/2. Let's do 36 to the positive 1/2. Well, 1/2, that's a square root. Square root of 36, that'll be 6. 6 times 6 will give us that. Okay. Now, remember, we pretended that it was positive. Whatever answer you get, the final answer is going to be 1 over that. So this one here is going to be 1 over 6. A negative always means that your answer will go in the bottom, and it'll always be a 1 up top. So just be careful, it's not actually going to make the final answer negative, it'll just make it 1 over the positive answer there. So let's see one final example. Okay, it's got a negative power, we're going to go ahead and pretend it's positive. 27 to the 1/3. Same thing as the cube root of 27. 3 times 3 times 3, that'll give us 27. So 3 is the cube root. But finally, it's negative. So take your positive answer, 3, and make it 1 over 3. So this is the simplified answer. And you can practice all of these problems just like these on my website for free. Go ahead and click on the link down here to try those out. Here's another video about exponents and roots to see more examples there. Let me know what questions you have, what else you want me to cover. Good luck, you got these. We'll see you in the next video. Toodles.